D. Davis. Most of y'all should know who he is, but let me give you a little brief since we got a little time. Ain't no rush. The Flow Show, no filter. We take our time and do it right. So let's talk about Keefe D. He's a former gang leader from Compton, California, that is. Back in the day, he was reportedly involved in drug sales and trafficking, and he even served time in prison in the late 1990s. But here's where it gets wild. Keefe D has been out here for years, basically implicating himself in Tupac's murder. This man wrote a whole tell-all book. It's called The Compton Street Legend. And in this book, he spills all the tea about the Tupac and the Biggie murders, Suge Knight, Diddy, and more. But not only that, he's been doing interviews on YouTube, talking about all the shit that went down that night in Las Vegas. Keefe D says he was in the car when his nephew, Orlando Anderson, and two others, when Tupac was killed. He was in that car with those people. Now, he claims his nephew was the one who pulled the trigger. That would be Orlando. So now is here where this shit gets even messier. Now, in a 2008 interview, I couldn't find it. I could only find the quotes. I was trying to find it for you guys so I could play it. But I'm going to just have to tell you, in 2008, an interview with investigators, Keefe D claimed that Diddy, yes, Sean Diddy Combs, a.k.a. Mohawk Diddy, a.k.a. the Diddler, offered him $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge Knight. Hit the wrong fucking button. Anyway, this is crazy. So he says an associate of Diddy's named Eric Zip Martin gave him the gun to carry out the hit. Now, according to Keefe D, the plan was never fully paid out. He believed Diddy gave the money to Zip, who then kept it for himself. Now, whether that is true or not, that's up for debate. But let's just say Diddy's name being tied to Tupac's murder isn't exactly new. Now, let me pause for 1 second and tell you what I think. I think Diddy was $1 million. He put up $1 million to kill Biggie and Tupac. I mean, not Biggie and Tupac. Tupac and Suge, right? But when only Tupac died, he probably only paid $500,000. And Zip took the $500,000 because that's what he was counting on getting anyway and ran. I believe if Suge Knight and Tupac were killed, Puffy Diddy would have paid the $1 million, and Zip would have took the $500,000 and gave Keefe D his $500,000. But since only half of the job was done, Zip got his half and ran. That's just my speculation. But let's move on. Now, Keefe D's arrests and legal battles are well documented. So fast forward to September 2023, 27 years after Tupac was killed. Keefe D is arrested outside his home near Las Vegas. He's then charged with first-degree murder, and his trial is set to start in March. But y'all, he and his legal team are fighting hard now to get this case thrown out. Keefe D's lawyers are arguing a couple of things. One, that the government waited too long to charge him, which would be 27 years, which I don't know if it's ever too long for murder, but that's just me. And also, another thing, Keefe D had a deal with federal investigators that should have given him immunity from prosecution. Now, I could buy him on that one. If they gave him immunity to tell his story, he should have immunity. Now, I don't know the details. He should be able to rat on Diddy and get the hell out of the way, but I don't know the details. But from what I know, I don't think they can grant you immunity, then you spill the beans and then they lock your ass up. I don't know. Y'all tell me, all my lawyers or my legal experts out there, send me a message. Let me know how that goes. So here's the catch. He hasn't been able to prove this immunity agreement even existed, though. So if it doesn't exist, all bets are off. Your ass grass, Keefe D. So, but we shall see. So let's talk about the immunity. He says that Keefe D claims that this immunity was back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and he was cooperating with investigators as part of a task force looking into Biggie Smalls' murder. He says he was granted immunity in exchange for information. But here's the catch. He hasn't been able to prove that that even existed. No court order. No paperwork. No nothing. Nathaniel. We used to call nothing Nathaniel, just so you know. So when a person say, how much you got? You be like, Nathaniel. So nothing. Prosecutors are saying, where are the receipts, Keefe? You can't just say you got immunity and don't have a receipt for it. And on top of that, even if you did have immunity, it wouldn't apply to a murder case in Nevada. And I think that where they might be catching his ass up at. So Keefe D, you better start squealing. Start singing like the Temptations. But here's the wildest part, y'all. This is the wildest part. Keefe D has basically been telling on himself for years. Prosecutors are like, this man has confessed in interviews, documentaries, and even his own fucking book. Now, in this 2019 memoir, he goes into detail about what happened that night in Vegas, naming the names and pointing the fingers. He's done numerous YouTube interviews where he talks about his role in the murder, just like it's another story, like they just ordered a pizza. You know, like it's no big deal to him. Now, earlier this month, Keefe D's defense team filed a motion to dismiss the case, saying that the constitutional rights had been violated, et cetera, et cetera. They compared this situation to like Bill Cosby case, where Cosby's conviction was overturned because of a deal he had with a former DA. But here's the gag. Prosecutors aren't buying it. They're not buying it. They say Keefe D is being dramatic and that he's essentially created his own mess by running his mouth for decades. Now let's bring it all the way back to Mohawk Diddy. Now, with Keefe D dragging his name into this, you think Diddy would be out here making statements. But Diddy quiet as hell. Y'all notice that? Diddy ain't saying a motherfucking word about this Tupac shit. And this isn't the first time Diddy's been accused of being involved in some shady shit. We all know that. That's why y'all tuning in to this show. A big reason. But if Keefe D's claims about that $1 million hit are true, this could have massive implications for Diddy and send his ass up the river 100 times over. Fuck his legacy. At this point, I don't think Diddy even give a fuck about his legacy. He just hoping he will see sunlight again. So what happens now? Keefe D's motion to dismiss has been denied. And unless the team appeals, he's headed to trial in March. At the same time that they're about to be listing these co-conspirators. I think that timing is ironic. I'm sure Diddy's team is probably working overtime to keep his name out that Tupac mess because he already got a huge mess that he's working with right now. But shit, Keefe D might get to the point where he gonna tell every fucking thing he thought he knew because the prosecutors ain't playing with his ass, and you gonna have to talk. Another case we're gonna be paying attention to. Now I'm just gonna update y'all because we're gonna be watching that one like a hawk. So stay tuned to the Flow Show No Filter as this Tupac shit develops with Diddy and these freak off tapes develop. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. Now,